Joe Biden sizing up the Republican field and taking a shot at his potential rivals as more heavyweights get into the race. Let's see if he's been able to keep up with it.
I haven't been able to keep up with it. It's moving so quickly. And, you know, I'm not being facetious. I'm being very serious. I haven't focused on it that much. It seems a lot of competent candidates who are trying to get the nomination. So we'll see. Unfortunately,
Slow Joe seems to have forgotten that he's a candidate. His campaign is over a month old already, but he's held no events. Instead, Biden is going to sit back and let all his campaign surrogates do the heavy lifting. One summing up the strategy this way, quote, "I think you'll see a real team effort to support the president and to be able to convey his message out into the world so everything doesn't rely on him alone." While Joe lies low, Ronnie D is on the go. DeSantis will be holding his first campaign event in Iowa after vowing to destroy leftism.
If I'm the nominee, I will beat Biden, and I will serve 2 terms, and I will be able to destroy leftism in this country and leave woke ideology on the dustbin of history. I think there's a reason why the legacy media is attacking me more than they're attacking anybody else, because I think they realize that if I'm successful in winning the Republican nomination, we're going to bring it home in the general election.
All right. Is that Geraldo's boat back there? All right. I want to call for this stop because I love it, because it has 2 people in it, one named Jolly and the other named Joy, and they're both miserable.
He will destroy leftism. Really, that's a lot of people in this country. He will get rid of wokeism. You know what? I am woke, and I'm proud of it, okay?
Ron DeSantis tonight, a very dark figure on the political landscape, far more dangerous than Donald Trump.
So there you go. As predicted, Dana, we now find out that somebody is worse than Trump.
DeSantis, yes.
Yes.
And then if somebody else were to get a little bit of a leg up, imagine they'll say that Tim Scott is worse than Hitler. I mean, it doesn't matter who is going to be. The Republicans know that. And I think that Republican voters have tuned that out. So it's not really working. I do think it's interesting to see this week. It's a little bit of a table setting for Republican politics, because both Ron DeSantis and Trump will be on the trail this week in Iowa. And I think that shows that President Trump knows it's not just going to be a coronation for the nomination, and Ron DeSantis, people will be able to see, okay, so is he able to throw a punch and land a punch, and how would he get up off the mat when he's attacked? I do wonder about Ron DeSantis today. He came out with a thing really going, and fine to be against the debt deal, but instead of taking it to Joe Biden, he took it to the Republicans, like further dividing them. So I don't know if that's a great idea. On Biden, I thought it was interesting that their team thought that they could go to NBC News and plant this long story about how they're going to use celebrities and TikTok influencers in order to win a presidential election. I imagine that they believe that if Trump is the nominee, that they can just do a replay of 2020. But I think voters were a little bit more forgiving about him being in the basement because of COVID. Right. They could understand that. That is no longer the case. The president himself said COVID is over, but they still plan not to have him out on the trail.
Wow. You know, Jesse, if you elect me, I will destroy leftism. That's a pretty good line, huh? How do you feel about that?
It's a bold line, and I like it. And you say whatever you can to get over the finish line. I think he would just rip the stitches off Joe Biden in a general. But then the FBI would probably destroy him along with the CIA. I'm sure the Pentagon probably has a picture of him stacking up Iraqi bodies in a Baghdad prison cell or something like that. Either that or they'll probably tap his phones. It worked in 2016. You don't think they're going to play dirty with Ron DeSantis? They're going to get Disney, they're going to get BlackRock, and they're going to get these defense contractors, and they're going to burn this man to the ground. Doesn't matter who the nominee is, they are going to torch the SOB. And now, no other Republican nominee can be not as bad as Trump. Think about it. If Trump is a racist traitor / rapist / rebel, can you have the left come out and say, well, he's not as bad as Trump? I mean, you can't say, well, actually, that sounds pretty good. He's not as bad. It has to be absolutely worse. I'm so angry at the press right now. You have Joe Biden, who hides for a year. He comes out and talks to you without any notes, and your first question is, what do you think of the Republicans?
Yeah.
You don't ask, why'd your family, 9 members of them, take $11 million in bribes? Yep. You know, why does the majority of the country think you're not mentally sharp enough to be president? Why does 2/3 of the country think that your reelection is going to be a disaster? Why won't you debate RFK Jr.? None of that gets asked.
No.
Yep.
And so that's how this guy is going to survive. Permission to make an analogy.
All right, then.
You stop, Greg. I've been off for a couple days.
Hey,
with
do
food
what
poisoning.
you want, man. I'm just
this is like a football game when one quarterback you're not allowed to sack. This is like the other quarterback you're allowed to kneecap, you're allowed to helmet, eye gouge in the scrum. One guy you can't even breathe on.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Biden's going to get out there and he's going to be like, I'm going to lock up Trump and hide. I'm going to arrest my opponent and I'm going to stay in Delaware. And no one's allowed to ask me any questions except Dylan. That's the strategy.
Dylan, who's now straight.
He is?
I believe so.
I saw that.
We're doing a whole hour special on it tonight.
He's straight?
I don't know. Judge.
So I can drink Bud Light again?
Yeah. Oh, boy. You know, the thing about the left is they say, you know, the right is going to take us back 100 years. They're going to take us back. Wait a minute. You're the people talking about white supremacy and reparations and tearing down history and taking down statues, and you think the right is going to take you back 100 years? And first of all, and secondly, I should say, is this whole reliance on surrogates, it feeds right into the idea that Joe Biden doesn't have the mental acuity or the physical capacity to be a candidate, and it's their admission that it takes a village, to use a famous woman's last line. It takes a village. And finally, this whole idea that, you know, they're gonna boost Kamala, which is part of their strategy. They literally had Kamala Harris sitting between Joe Biden and Kevin McCarthy during the debt ceiling discussions. Have you heard the woman say anything about the debt ceiling? Is it all just pictures and smoke and mirrors? That's all it is. And I just saw Jim Comey on another station, and he's like, today he was out again talking about how the Republicans are going to take us back down. And I'm thinking to myself, you're the fool who lied to Congress. You put an unverified affidavit in front of a FISA judge, and they violated the Fourth Amendment rights of an American citizen to spy on a president like they do in a third world country, and you have the nerve to show your face and say the Republicans are the ones who are a threat to democracy? It is stunning what's going on.
Harold, thanks for inviting me this weekend. I couldn't make it.
Absolutely. We had 2 or 3 burgers for you. We were ready.
Well, you know what? I had other plans. I'm a pretty social guy. So, I mean, I really don't care what question I ask you. Go ahead and answer anything you want.
So I think the setup, and I think a lot of what you're saying, I think, is largely right. I think the setup is the sunny lane that is being occupied by Tim Scott right now, and the lane that frankly is not. I think that listening to Ron DeSantis, you know, I expect bigger from him in terms of the ideas. Saying you're going to defeat leftism. Look, I get it. That may be a nice thing to say at a Republican county meeting somewhere in Florida, but the country is faced with real challenges. Your point, Dana, about the criticism around the debt ceiling, it'd be different if he said, look, I want to cut this, and that, and I think we ought to raise taxes or lower tax. He just criticizes. I think politics...
He should have just criticized Biden.
Well, whatever. You think he should, but I'm saying is he had no ideas. If the only ideas in politics today on either side is if Democrats to say, the Republicans think they're terrible, they're going to turn us back 100 years. And for Republicans to say Democrats are going to do the same thing. The people who lose the most are the people. I said on this show a few days ago, Tyrus had one of the great lines on one of the shows earlier last week about the debt ceiling, as he talked about how silly and immature some in Washington were behaving. He said the real losers are going to be people. If all we tell people in campaigns, not crime, not border, not how we compete and de-risk from China, but leftism and the Republicans want to do, this is the last thing we need as we find ourselves almost a quarter of the way through the 21st century. If this is all our politics is, then we're not going to solve the crime issue. We're not going to deal with the debt ceiling issue. We're not going to deal with the underlying factors. And we're not going to find ways to compete more with China and decouple from them. These are the issues that I believe are most important. And I hope that both sides get to them.
I think America needs a dose of Harold Ford Jr. 2024. What am I saying? You know,
Right.
I can feel it. You're starting to feel like you're the only one who's going to get this thing done. And, you know, I'm beginning to believe that.
We could file the paperwork tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're not partisan.
All I do now is watch prime time. I watch 9 a.m. and I watch 11 p.m. So if I can find ways to do that, then I'll do something else.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.